Hey there. Are you looking to sell your home the for sale by owner way? Then check out Listella. Listella is an online real estate platform where you can directly buy and sell homes with no negotiations and no commission. Sellers save the 6% they would typically pay an agent, and buyers can find and buy a home in as little as 14 days. The best part? If you're a Travel Brats listener and you list your home on Listella, you'll get 20% off the listing fee with code TRAVEL. That's capital TRAVEL. Check them out at listella.com or download the Listella app today.
Hey y'all.
I'm Soph.
And I'm Nat.
And we're
the Travel Brats. Welcome to our podcast.
We've been putting the brat in travel
Since 2020.
and we're just getting started.
From hidden gems to world-class travel.
We've been sharing hot and not destinations from a bird's eye view and a party of two.
So what's on the itinerary today?
Hey Travel Brats, it's Soph. Happy Travel Brat Tuesday and welcome. Today I'm super excited because we're going to welcome two missionaries, Cassidy and Zeek Marquez. After starting their lives together in Florida, where I met them, Zeek and Cassidy ventured out of the United States from the Florida beaches to the República Dominicana, or better known as the República Dominicana. Cassidy and Zeek are missionaries through the Christian Missionary Alliance, and they have been in the DR for the last 3 years, sharing the gospel, helping the community grow and prosper, and exploring the natural beauty of the DR. Hey, Cassidy and Zeek, welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
It's great to have you guys. So I want to start off with you guys just telling us a little bit about your background. Where are you guys from and where are you guys located now?
So I'm originally from Maryland, but I moved to Southwest Florida to Fort Myers when I was starting 8th grade. Zeke is born and raised in Southwest Florida, Bonita Springs,
Fort Myers.
and that is actually currently where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Now, I want to talk a little bit about specifically where in the DR, because I know you guys just left and you're in transition, and we will talk about that. But where in the DR were you and what were you doing?
Yeah, so we were in the capital, Santo Domingo, and so we were doing mission work there, and the main ministry that we had was student university population ministry, and that was centered around a coffee shop slash like student center. So we had the opportunity to serve coffee, be baristas, but also just meet people where they're at and just, get to know them and share of the love and hope that's found in Christ.
That's awesome, you guys. And I want to dive a little bit more into Christian Missionary Alliance. How did you guys find them and get connected? And what's been your experience with them so far?
So I grew up in the Christian Missionary Alliance to a church here and actually in San Carlos, Fort Myers. And so a little bit about the Alliance. The Alliance was started in 1887 by Pastor A.B. Simpson, who had just this really deep passion and compassion for the people of where he was pastoring in New York City, who were often ignored and struggling. And so today, the Alliance continues to carry out sort of that vision to bring help and hope to the people in need around the world. And so, God has had a loving plan for us from the beginning. And so that's kind of the Alliance's plan, to reach out, to give hope to the hopeless. And so what's cool about the Alliance is even though it's small, we have about 2,000 churches here in the United States, about 700 missionaries worldwide in over 70 countries. And so, yeah, I think the Alliance is pretty cool. Our experience with the Alliance has been really great. Even though they're not the biggest missionary sending organization out there, they're just really focused on like the missionary, providing care for the missionary, making sure that the international workers can be their best selves for the people that they're serving. And so we have nothing but good things to say about the Alliance and what they're doing in their mission and how they've supported us in our missionary journey.
Well, that's amazing. I think it's really cool that you guys can do what your life purpose is and what you're passionate about, but still have a lot of fun with it and be able to travel to another country. Zeke and Cassidy be able to, for Zeke, keep your Spanish, and Cassidy continue to learn and get better at another language. I mean, that's really, really cool. And I know I'll save it till the end. I know you're on your way to another really neat place. And I want to talk about that at the end of the episode. But I want to dive a little bit into now just República Dominicana.
Mhm.
Tell us if you could describe the DR in 3 words, what would they be?
If I could describe the DR in 3 words, I would probably pick friendly because of the people. It's like kind of Latino culture, just super welcoming, friendly. Hot because it's the Caribbean. And then probably adventurous. That's something that I don't know, it goes into all facets of the Dominican. Like there's a lot of like fun adventures, also a ton of unexpected, less fun adventures.
And could you give us a little taste of the unique parts of the DR's history that you guys know of?
Yeah, so the Dominican Republic was actually one of the first places that Christopher Columbus actually landed in. So he landed on the north part of the island and eventually made it down to the south of the island and made the city, which we call the colonial zone nowadays. But we know that the Dominican Republic was kind of like the center of operations for the Spanish Armada. And so from here, they went all over, discovering all the places around the Dominican Republic and all the countries around surrounding. And so it was just really cool to see, like to hear about just the early history and how the Dominican Republic has grown and progressed, especially sharing the island with Haiti. There's been some history there. At one point in time, the Spanish owned the entire island, but then the French came and then they had a big fight. And then eventually Haiti was, owner, or I should say, over the whole island. And then eventually the Dominican people claimed independence and fought for their land. And now we have the Dominican Republic and Haiti all on the same island.
I love it. It builds a good picture for when you go there. And if I was going to go there as a tourist on a trip, what would you say is the best time to visit? Because I know, Cassidy, you mentioned that it can be hot. Is it hot year round?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Zeke and I would probably have different answers to this question. Zeke would probably say summer is best to visit because it is hot, but it's an island. So the whole island is full of beaches.
Right.
The best time to visit those are the summer. However, I'm not much of a hot weather gal or a beach gal. Like I love the hiking, waterfall, rivers part of the Dominican Republic. So I would probably answer the winter, which if you merge those together, you can't really go wrong about a time to visit. But I think Zeke would say summer. I would probably say winter. Depends on what your interests are and what you're going for.
I was going to say that's nice because I feel like there's something for everybody any time of year. And you kind of just have to cater on what you want to do.
There are.
Yeah.
Are there any interesting holidays or times of year that are seasonal to go to for certain events?
Yeah, I would say I don't know how familiar you are with Carnival. I know like Brazil is like very big on Carnival. We also have, well, I say the Dominican Republic has its own Carnival, and that's usually between February to like April. It varies, but I think that's a very cultural experience to go to. The country is very heavily Catholic as well. So it's like there's a bunch of, Catholic holidays that are celebrated. And so people like to go out and celebrate those as well. But in all reality, I don't think there's like tell me like the best time or the best holidays to go to. What actually surprised me is that Dominicans love shopping. And so two of the major holidays here
That's true.
is Mother's Day and Black Friday.
Black
Mother's Day, Black
Friday.
Friday. Those are when you can find the best deals on everything. Mother's Day and Black Friday. It's not Christmas, it's not Thanksgiving, it's not Happy New Year's. I was like, wow, that's crazy. We actually bought a TV on Mother's Day because it was like such a smoking deal. And we were like, yeah, we have to buy this TV because it's Mother's Day, right?
That's pretty interesting. It's funny because I feel like in the US, like Black Friday has been dumbed down now. It used to be like crazy in the stores, and now it's kind of like, oh, there's a few online deals, but not much, or there's Cyber Monday. And then
Yeah.
Mother's Day, I feel like it's everybody celebrate. I mean, we're huge with the moms, but like nothing's on sale. It's not a shopping holiday. We all just go spend our like $50 on flowers. Yeah, that's super interesting. And where would you say is like the coolest or most fun city for a tourist to go stay in?
It's going to depend on your interest.
Hmm.
So Santo Domingo, where we stayed, would be the biggest city if you're a city person. Like if that's your vacation type, they're going to have everything. Santo Domingo. As far as cities, we really liked Santiago. It was a little bit still city, but quieter, a little bit more green space, a little bit cooler temperatures and fresher air.
People were more friendly.
Yeah, friendlier people just because there's less hustle bustle going on. But still city atmosphere, plenty of things to do. Both are close to the beach, both you can get to the mountains, both have restaurants, both have coffee shops. So we really were Santiago people, but I know people who are really Santo Domingo people.
That's really interesting, huh? Cool. Now, are they close in proximity?
So Santiago is on the north side of the island, and then Santo Domingo is actually
Santo Domingo south.
yeah.
But they're about 2.5 hours away from each other. Like the island itself is maybe like a 4-hour drive. So if you're from the US, a 4-hour drive's nothing.
No, yeah, you could go check both out in one trip.
Yeah, no, the Dominicans think that's like far. Like you went to Santiago and back in a day. I'm like, yeah.
It's because their world is like their country is so much smaller. You know, the United States, the average road trip is like 9 hours.
Yeah, it's like to get out of Florida, it's 9. Like I could have been to Santiago back and there again. Like by the time I would even get out of Florida. So it's just all about what's normal. If you leave at 8 a.m., you're there by 8 p.m. Like that's not waking up early, not going to bed late.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's really interesting. And I know you guys were living there. I want to sidetrack a little bit. And you had mentioned the people were friendly in Santo Domingo, or to you, they were the most friendly. Living there, you guys said that also that was one of your keywords for DR. So did you find that just it was okay to adjust and like people were generally friendly and welcoming?
Yeah, it's a little bit less in Santo Domingo just because of city life,
Mhm.
but still very friendly. Especially even like learning a language, they're very like welcoming for you to try your Spanish, even if it's bad, or they'll work with you to let you try and get it. Like I know, especially France has a reputation of like if you're not mastered their language, they don't want you to try. But
Right.
very welcoming. People, you like go to church and someone's like inviting you over to their house right after dinner. And then it's even more so outside the city. Like you could just be walking on the street and like this little grandma invites you in for tea. Like that you didn't know. Like you didn't have a relationship. You just got to talking and they're like, oh, come on over.
Mhm.
Now that is really cool. That is not, I feel like, a usual thing for everywhere else in the world.
And then I also like I feel like our friends would like jump through hoops to like help us out. Like with big favors too. Like we had some friends visiting for the weekend and we needed a car and we were like, can we borrow your car for the day? And she's like, you can have it for the weekend.
They're very friendly and giving. Smaller community kind of feel too.
Or like you need a 3 a.m. ride to the airport, you have like 5 offers and
Oh, that's great. And I know you guys lived there, but what, if you know any hotels, would you recommend that are kind of in some of those hot spots?
I was gonna say, I feel like we're not the greatest of hotel recommendations because we lived there. My parents did come and stay in Santo Domingo and they stayed in an Embassy Suites hotel. Like if you just Google Embassy Suites Santo Domingo, it's a big high rise. But it was like they paid I think like $130 a night, but it was like high end. Like here, $130 would be like an average hotel room.
Yeah.
But it was pretty high end. I think they got like a free app, like there was like a happy hour every day that was included where they could like each get a drink or two and like some little snackies, and there was a pool. And then there's a lot of really unique historical hotels in the colonial zone. And so I can't speak to actually having stayed in them, but I think like if you're gonna go and maybe not have a car, I would recommend staying in the colonial zone just because there's so much access, walking access to food and coffee shops and events and music and things. But I couldn't actually speak to like staying in one because it was 15 minutes away from us. So we stayed in our house.
Well, that's good advice though. If you're kind of a more boutique hotel history, kind of staying in the middle, you want to just live like be in the middle of the localness, and then also where your parents stayed is a good, if somebody's really comfortable with like chains, then you know that's a good
Yeah,
option.
but it was really nice. It was like definitely nicer than Embassy Suites in the US.
That's great. And that's a great deal, great price.
Looking for the cutest new travel pieces for your adventure wardrobe? Then shop Best Dressed. From gorgeous sundresses to adorable bikinis and cozy sweaters, Best Dressed has the perfect travel pieces for any vacation destination. Check them out at shopbestdressed.com and use code TRAVELBRAT20 for 20% off the entire store.
I want to kind of transition a little bit and talk about my favorite part of every episode, food.
Yes. Food.
So, were there any specific restaurants that you two liked to visit or eat at?
So we had a few restaurants that we'd love to visit. I think within our first week here in well, I say here in the Dominican Republic when we landed, we were like looking for like restaurants nearby that were within walking distance of our Airbnb. And we found this really nice like Italian restaurant called Cappuccino. And it's like right in the university zone, and they just had really like authentic Italian dishes, and the ambiance was very nice.
Some kind of like certification from the Italian embassy or
Yeah,
something.
so like
Like
in
this
the
is the
front,
good
in the
stuff.
entrance, they had like yes, like the Italian embassy endorses this establishment.
That's awesome.
Amazing. We had another place farther in downtown called La Tapa, which was very like it was just a mix of food. They had like steaks, pasta, like nachos, and the steaks were really good. Cassidy would always get this like shrimp cheese risotto, which is really good as well. I would always get like the like they call it picanha with this sauce which is like a steak. And their drinks, the drinks are really good, whether you like alcohol, whether you don't. They just had really good drinks. And then this one authentic, really famous place called El Cunuco, which is closer to the colonial zone. And they have like, they serve really authentic Dominican food. We went there once and we were surprised to find out that it was like a famous restaurant. They had a wall of celebrities, like pictures. We saw like Selena
This
Gomez,
was there.
Brad Pitt was there. I can't think of who else was there, but I was like, oh wow, this place is actually like, yeah, I would recommend this place to people just because it's like, it's famous and it's famous for a reason because their food is really good.
They also have like in the evenings and weekends like entertainment. Like they had like some little like was it flamenco? I don't know. Some dancing.
Merengue.
Merengue, obviously, duh. That shit. Merengue dancers and some they would like get the crowd involved if that was like your style. But their food was really traditional, their entertainment was traditional. And yeah, like Zeke said, we were surprised that famous people had been there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool. And did you guys have like a favorite local DR dish?
Yeah, but they're not like your traditional answers that you would get. I would go crazy, and everyone who knows me knows I would go crazy over their ensalada rusa, which literally translates to Russian salad, which is just a potato salad. But I think they make it so good. And so anytime we are like invited over and people are like, what do you want for dinner? And I'm like, potato salad. So we're like, that's not the traditional answer, but like by far, hands down, anytime. What's your favorite Dominican food? I'm like, ensalada rusa.
Yeah.
I feel like I kind of love that though, because you're American and I feel like potato salad is such like a 4th of July, like hot dogs and potato salad, but maybe the Dominicans do it better.
I feel like I don't even know if it's a little bit different from the US, but I don't even know if it's like too different. And I don't know if it's because I'm like, a taste of home. I don't know. I love
Maybe. That's pretty cool. I'm glad they still do it there. That's great.
Yeah. My favorite dish was mango.
Oh,
And
that's true too.
that's like squished plantain, kind of maybe it has like a potato, like mashed potato texture. It was really good. And they would also accompany it with like some type of meat. My favorite was fried pork belly. They would incorporate that. And I know there's this war between the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans on who has the best mango. And I tell you, that's very difficult, but I might say something a little bit controversial, but I think Dominican mango is definitely maybe not drastically better, but maybe just a little better.
He's getting all politically correct now. Maybe not, just too big, 5% better.
Mango's really good. It's usually like it's a breakfast food.
Yeah.
Like what's like some fried egg, fried salami.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. The plantains and the potatoes, they seem to do well. They're like sides, I feel like those are like staple sides. And I want to talk about coffee with you guys because I love coffee. I know you guys like coffee. So, and I know a lot of your ministry was at a coffee shop, which is really cool. So what kind of coffees did they serve there that were different maybe that you guys liked?
There weren't too many that were different. A really popular drink at any coffee shop that you would go to in the Dominican would be a mochaccino, which is really just like a mocha coffee, but they served it really pretty. Like usually the chocolate would settle at the bottom. You would get like your layer of coffee and a layer of foam in like a tall glass. So mochachinos were really popular. You also have to be careful if you order a macchiato because we always go toward like Starbucks caramel macchiatos. A macchiato in the Dominican is like a shot of espresso with like a little bit of foam. So it's like really concentrated. So a lot of times whenever tourists would come and like order a macchiato, I'm like, is that what you like? Do you want like a shot of espresso, or do you want like a Starbucks caramel macchiato?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's funny. That's so funny. Yeah, because I could see even me doing that because I like a Starbucks caramel macchiato.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, that like is familiar, and I don't want to get something I make sure like want to get something that I make sure that I like.
Right. Well, that's cool. That sounds delicious.
And people would also get mochaccino and macchiato mixed up. So I'm like, do you want a strong shot of espresso or like a sweet chocolate coffee drink? Those are also very different.
Yeah.
Now, do typically a lot of people there speak English?
In the capital, yeah. In Santo Domingo, it's not super obvious as in some tourist countries, but no matter where you go, you can probably find someone that speaks at least enough English to get by with what you need, whether it'd be like ordering at a restaurant or asking for directions.
Yeah.
There's enough people that are fluent, but you can survive in English without too much difficulty in the capital. If you left the capital, it's going to get a lot more difficult.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Okay. So it's a little bit similar to Mexico, except in the touristy areas, say of Mexico, everybody speaks English because there's so many tourists.
Yeah.
And a lot of people speak English because you need English in order to get ahead, like financially, because there's a lot of like call centers and stuff like that in the Dominican Republic. So you'll find a lot of people who are wanting to learn English and have spoken English and speak English.
Very cool. So you're not going to be totally lost.
Yeah. No, you'll be fine in the capital. Otherwise, just make sure you have cell phone service and you'll still be fine.
Excellent.
Hey, hey, Travel Brats! We have a very special announcement. One of our very own members and special guest from our February 20th and 27th episodes, Brittany Trott, has launched yet another fabulous children's adventure book. As some of you may know, Brittany is the author of a popular children's educational travel book series all about the adventures of an exciting little girl, Shelley, who loves to travel and learn about the world. This series is comprised of 3 books: Shelley Goes to Summer Camp, Shelley Goes to the Capital, and Shelley Goes to Massachusetts. To kick off 2024, Brittany has launched her 4th book in the series, Shelley Goes to Arizona. The Shelley Adventure series is geared toward children ages 6 to 10. You can find the Shelley Adventure series at trot2cents.com/books. To get to know Brittany and learn more about her Shelley Adventure series, check out our February 2024 episodes 183 and 184.
So I want to kind of take a sweat break and play a little trivia on DR because you guys, since you're so cultured and kind of fun for our travel brats too. So I'm just going to ask the question. You guys give me your answer, and then I'll kind of read the actual answer, and then we'll laugh about it. All right.
I'm ready.
We're going to talk about cities first. So there's a city in the DR that is the oldest city in the New World. What is the name of this city? And I gave you A, B, C, D options. So A, Punta Cana, B, Santiago de los Caballeros, C, Santo Domingo, D, La Romana.
Santo Domingo.
I say Santo Domingo.
All right. Final answer?
Yeah, locking it in.
Locking it in. Okay, yes. Santo Domingo, the capital of the DR, is the oldest continuously inhabited European settlement in the Americas, and home to the first cathedral, which I thought was really cool, hospital, and university in the New World. Also known for its rich history and colonial architecture, which you guys talked a little bit about. So, and then Santo de los Caballeros, it's the 2nd largest city. Punta Cana, it's the big resort, bar, beach place. And then La Romana, known for its luxury resorts, golf courses, and Altos de Cabón. I don't know if I said that right. Cabón, which is like a Mediterranean style village, which I thought was kind of cool. So doing a little research.
Yeah, I would say the fact about La Romana is new to me, at least. A little resort.
Yeah, kind of cool, right? I didn't know that. Yeah.
I know the area, but not that specific resort. So I learned something new.
Yeah. Now I want to transition to music. Okay. So here's our music question, which I know Cassidy's going to know this because she already mentioned it. But for the travel brats who may have not been listening, the Dominican Republic is the birthplace of a very popular type of music. A, reggae, B, merengue, C, salsa, D, bossa nova.
Merengue.
Merengue.
a lively, fast-paced dance music, and also of bachata, a genre with more romantic and melancholy themes. And obviously reggae is Jamaica, salsa's Cuban and Puerto Rican, and then bossa nova is Brazilian.
Yes.
All right, guys, sports. Here we go. The national sport of the DR is A, soccer, B, football, C, cricket, and D, baseball.
Just like ready to go with baseball, and it wasn't on the option list. And I was like,
I was about to say none of the above.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. Yes, baseball powerhouse, guys. For those of you who don't know, it's a national sport, and the DR has produced some of the greatest Major League Baseball players, such as Pedro Martinez, David Ortiz, and Sammy Sosa.
I think the shocking statistic right now, I think the MLB is comprised over 60% Dominicans.
Wow, that's crazy.
that is
Very
a big.
crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean they're like home of the baseball champs. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like when someone says Latino anything, everybody kind of assumes like football, like soccer football. And you're like, no, they're baseball isn't like baseball's American, but like they are so good at baseball.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna move on to a little bit more of like the peaks. We're gonna talk about some mountains. The highest mountain in the Caribbean is located in the DR. What is the name of this mountain? A, Pico Duarte. B, La Grande Soufriere. C, Pico Torquino. Or D, Morne Diablotines.
Pico Duarte, A.
Yes, Pico Duarte.
That was actually the only one that I recognized. I was like, it's that one.
Oh, good. Process of elimination.
I knew that was the biggest, but the other ones, I'm like, I haven't heard of them. Maybe they're like second, third, and fourth biggest, but no one talks about them.
Yeah, so Pico Duarte, obviously located in DR, it stands at just over 10,000 feet. And then La Grande Soufriere is Guadalupe. And it's actually an active stratovolcano, which is kind of cool. And then Pico Torquino is Cuba, highest mountain in Cuba. And then Morne Diablotines is also in Dominican, but it's the highest peak on the island of Dominicana and the second highest in the Lesser Antilles. So yeah, but you guys got it. You're unstoppable. All right, let's see if I can stump you with the last question, which I probably can't, but all right. Shared island. The DR shares the island of A, Isla Saona, B, Hispaniola, C, Salt Cay, or D, Harbor Island.
B, Hispaniola.
Yeah, I want to say that too.
It's true. I'm confident.
That's right. I feel like I gave you guys the easiest question last, but you did it. Good job. Yeah, Hispaniola with Haiti, making it one of the two only islands in the Caribbean shared by two sovereign nations. And then Isla Saoma, a small island off the southeastern coast of Dominican Republic, but it's part of a national park and it's a popular tourist destination. And then you've got the Salt Cay is one small island in Turks and Caicos. And this place I actually thought was pretty cool because it's known for its salt production, hence the Salt Cay, and for its history, but it's also a prime spot for whale watching, snorkeling, and diving. And then Harbor Island is a small island in the Bahamas. And if you guys didn't know, this is a fun fact actually about Harbor Island, is it's known for its pink sand beaches, and it has great colonial architecture and things like that. So it is a big tourist destination as well. Tried to trick you guys, try to get tricky, but can't stop Cassidy.
Lived there for too long.
Yeah. And speaking of islands and just kind of more about the DR and the hidden gems, what would you say are some of the best beaches that you guys visited?
The best beaches definitely were the north coast of the island. So there was like kind of a weird fun fact. Like if you talk to Americans, what they know about the Dominican, they go to Punta Cana. The north coast is where the Europeans go. I don't know like how that works out, why the Americans go to one beach and the Europeans go to the other beach.
Maybe advertising? I don't know.
Yeah, it must be just like word of mouth, like they all talk about it, so they keep going.
Yeah.
But personally, we've been to both. We love the North Coast beaches. If I had to place number one, it would be Las Terrenas in Samana. It is like the northeast of the island. I feel like Google Photos doesn't even do it justice. It's like that, it's Caribbean, like it's palm tree, crystal clear water. Like if you could like white sand, like if you can picture that perfect beach, it's at Las Terrenas.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
If you go a little bit west, but still on the north coast, you'll hit Cabarete and then you'll hit Puerto Plata. Cabarete is really fun. It's like the surfer beach. So it's a completely different vibe. It's definitely more like boho, still restaurants, but a little bit less restaurants. And yeah, less laying on the sand tanning, but more surfing, and like they do kite surfing and windsurfing, so more of like your active beach. Then if you go to the west a little bit more on the north coast, you'll hit Puerto Plata, which is also very famous. We only went to it once. It was still really beautiful, but I would personally go to Las Terrenas if you're like wanting relaxing beach, Cabarete if you want fun adventure beach.
Very cool. And are there any favorite hikes that you guys know of or went on? Because I know that you talked about hiking a little bit.
Yeah. We went to well, we'll go start with Pico Duarte. We never actually did the hike, but it was something that I would have loved to do had we got the chance. It's not really a hike that you just go on your own and figure it out, but they do like a tour group. So it'll be like a 1 night camping trip and they'll take you up and down. And my friends have went, and the picture she came back on her iPhone, and she's like not a photographer. They're stunning. Like she could sell the photos as stock photos. They're beautiful. Like just the mountain ranges and the little wildflowers and everything. And so we never personally did it, but if you're gonna go and you're into hiking, I would look into like a day or a 1 night, 2 day tour hike of Pico Duarte. We also did twice, which was the most fun that we've ever had in the Dominican Republic. You do all these things with the little tour guide, and they're really cheap, but it's called El Tabernáculo, like the tabernacle in Los Cacaos. And it's like a river hike, for lack of better words. So you literally like get in the river and you're like hiking up these waterfalls. And so the tour guide will kind of like scale like a little spider monkey up the waterfall, and he'll drop a rope and you'll like climb up the waterfall, and then you'll walk a little bit. And it's probably like, how long there? Like one way? An hour and a half? And then
An hour and a
quicker
half
back?
from the capital.
No, sorry, the actual hike.
Oh, yeah. No,
Like-
yeah.
Like the actual hike probably takes like 1.5 hours one way. And then you get to this like beautiful waterfall. And if you look at the like photos on Google, it has this like rock that fell that got like wedged in between the canyon. So there's like this canyon, this rock way above you, a waterfall, and then like little tiny you at the bottom. And then on the way back, you slide down all the waterfalls that you hiked up, like a natural water slide.
Yeah.
That's so
So
cool.
that was literally the most. We did it twice. And the second time was still fun, but the first time when it was all new was like hands down both of our most favorite day ever.
27 Saltos.
Oh yeah, go ahead, tell him.
27 Saltos is basically like a series of waterfalls that you hike up a trail to go up to like the top of the mountain or just the top of the hill or wherever. And then you basically just like float down this river. And then it has, the reason why they call it 27 Saltos is because you jump 27 times off the waterfall or off like a rock into the next like river or like puddle, or not puddle, but like this kind of lake area where it just keeps on going. And it's very, very adventurous. Not for the lighthearted, but I think that was one of our favorite.
And 27 Saltos has basically like a beginner and intermediate and an advanced option. Like you can choose to do the easiest 7, like 14 intermediate, or like the 27 all the way hard meet, like all of them. So you can pick your own adventure. And that's on the North Coast as well. It's a popular spot for cruises that'll stop. A lot of cruises will go on the North Coast into Puerto Plata, and that's like one of the excursions that cruises do.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. Wow. And that answered one of my other questions, was tell me about the waterfalls. You can literally hike up them and slide down some of them. Pretty sweet.
Got ahead of ourselves a bit. Because they're like, we call them waterfall hikes. They're like kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's pretty darn cool. And are there any other kind of just staple activities that you guys would recommend?
As far as in the capital, because again, that's like where most of our knowledge is. We mentioned a couple times the colonial zone. I feel like that's just like a must do. They have the old fort walls from when it used to be a fort that are still standing. They have one part of the fort that you can still tour. That's what you mentioned, the cathedral. That's where the largest cathedral is. If you do go to the colonial zone, there's a chocolate making tour that's like really fun. They walk you through like the whole history of the cacao bean and like the different percentages of chocolate, and you make your own chocolate bar. So that's really fun. Something that's probably more of just like a local activity because it's not super like wild, but a lot of the evenings, we lived like a block from the water. And so there's like a sidewalk that just runs the whole south of the island. It's called the Malecon. And so we would just love to go walk there. It's just a walk right next to the water and rocks, and it's beautiful. If you go on like a Friday evening, Saturday evening, especially a Sunday evening, there'll be vendors selling things, lots of people with kids playing in the parks, guys selling like popsicles and music and entertainment. And so that's something that we like to do a ton, of just going for this walk along the ocean. That's beautiful. And if, like I said, the weekend like provides some extra entertainment if you're looking for it.
Oh yeah, and enjoying the island. Yeah, I love long walks. So if you're, if you're a tourist, I feel like there's nothing better than just kind of walking the city or like walking the beaches or just kind of living like a local and seeing what you see.
Yeah, you get to take in a whole nother side of like, what do the locals do? What are they like?
Yeah. And on that note, when you travel to a new place, it's kind of hard to figure out what to pack. And so if I was, going for a week or two, and let's say it was like summer, since technically it's kind of always summer there, but what would I need to pack? What are the essentials?
Number one, sunscreen. The Caribbean sun is something different. It's something different. I remember our first time going to Punta Cana.
Oh boy.
We went for our anniversary, and I usually never put on sunscreen. And so after we went to the beach, we were both like burnt toast, both of us.
And like keep in mind we're from Florida, so we're not like strangers to strong sun, you know?
Right.
And so we were like, yeah, definitely we have to apply sunscreen, reapply. And then I'd say the second most important thing is like a variety of like nice outfits, like fancy outfits, because Dominican people know how to dress. They take their fashion seriously. And I say all the time, like even
do.
if they go to the grocery store, they put on their best fit, the women do their makeup
Their
and
heels.
their
Like,
heels and like yeah, like just going for a stroll at the grocery
or
store.
like another one that's strange to me is the movie theater. Like people dress up for the movie theater versus we do the opposite. Like we take our pajamas to the movie theater in the US.
Yes. That's crazy to me, huh? Well, I feel like it may be how it used to be in certain things with the United States. Like maybe I think people used to kind of dress up to go to the movies, and now we're all casual. Where I feel like they're kind of still in that phase where it's, you go on a date night and you actually look cute to go to the movies.
Mhm.
Or we would always say, like, as far as fashion trends, that we kind of, for guesswork purposes, like the Dominican Republic was about 6 years behind us in fashion trends. So
Right.
if you would take 2018 fashion trends is probably like what they're wearing in the DR.
Yeah.
Yeah, always dressed like to the nines, like always.
Hey,
Yeah.
I would love it. I love to dress up on vacation.
I'm such the opposite. I'm not like an outfit girl. And so there was such pressure. Like if I was going out to breakfast with a friend, I was like, they're looking cute. Like I can't wear a t-shirt.
Yeah, you're like, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? That's the classic girl. Zeke's like, what is this? That's a classic girl thing. What are you wearing? What are you wearing?
I knew what they were wearing and I knew it was nice.
Yeah, are you wearing a dress? No, I'm in jeans and a t-shirt. Okay, you better wear that.
Yeah, because you're like, are you going cute or are you going bum? There, you're going cute always.
Yeah. Like, what are you giving tonight? What's it giving? Is it giving I'm a princess, or is it like I'm not that fancy? I just want to relax. Yeah. And I want to know now a little bit for preparation purposes about just kind of how expensive things are in the DR. So how affordable would you say it was? Just like a 1 out of 10 on a expensive trip to a pretty bang for your buck trip.
I would say you can make it a very bang for your buck trip. However, you have to choose that route. So if you want to, you can get Airbnbs like as like a small little studio Airbnb for as low as like $30 a night. And then if you want to eat like local food, you can get a whole like rice, beans, meat lunch for $5. But you have to like work for that and you have to look for it a little bit. Or like again, you could get empanadas for like $2 or something. But if you're going as an American tourist and you've saved up money and like this is your trip and you want to spend money, like you have those options as well. I would say if we were probably to take a trip to the Dominican Republic, I'd probably put it on maybe like a 6 out of 10. Because we're gonna go out to eat and we're not gonna cook and we're gonna want to book some of these excursion things that we're talking about, which costs money. But we probably wouldn't choose to stay at like a 5-star all-inclusive resort.
Right. And would you say that most of the dinners you went to and that you mentioned, were they like A $1 sign or two or three?
If they're, I feel like Yelp does them out of 5. Cappuccino is probably like a $2 signs out of 5. La Tapa is probably 3 out of 5. El Canunco is probably 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
And what about the restaurant that you guys went for your anniversary?
Zeke, we got like steak. Zeke really loved it. I was like, that tasted the same as a cheap steak.
Oh, girls versus guys.
It's really funny. That place was called Sophia Bar and Grill.
Was it?
Yeah.
Another random fun fact, if you go to a nice restaurant, because like you can't drink their tap water, it's bottled water. If you go to a nice restaurant, they have fancy bottled water and your alcohol will be cheaper than water.
That's crazy.
It's not true of like a lower income, like a lower priced restaurant, but of a fancy restaurant, your alcohol has a good shot at being cheaper than a bottle of water.
Well, I do know liquor wise, they're one of the top producers in the world of rum, and they have the big Bacardi rum.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big tour. We never did it, but my dad came and visited, and he didn't do it, but he was interested in doing it. There's like a big farm that you can tour.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I did have a friend who did that big Bacardi tour, and she said it was pretty neat. But yeah, I like that. That's kind of cool. A cool fact about them. I mean, it's like I feel like rum is like the island liquor. So DR's got it. And do you guys have, any most memorable travel stories from the DR?
I think we have too many. I guess you want to share about when we were driving up to Cabarete and the wrong route that we took.
Yeah, so
That was rough.
yeah, for our anniversary, we went up to Cabarete. We rented, like, we wanted like a bang for your buck, like kind of deal. And so we rented like this studio Airbnb that had like a pool. It was pretty affordable. And so we're like, okay, we're gonna drive up there. So we put the route on the GPS, and so we started making our way up there. And about an hour into the trip, we started going up like this mountain, and the roads started getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And we were just like, oh my gosh, like what is going on here? And then eventually it just started like we slowed to a crawl because it was literally like gravel and potholes everywhere. And like there was like this military checkpoint that we had to stop at just because I guess like this road it's like least traveled.
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing on this road? Like, and that was, we took the wrong route because coming home, we like took a completely normal route, but it was like, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that you can't describe unless like it was like actually scary. Like it was like dirt and pothole and like high mountain, and we were probably crawling like 3 miles an hour, and we had like our 2 cats with us who were freaking the heck out in the car. And it took, instead of like 2.5 hours, it probably took like 4 or 5.
4 or 5 hours just because of that.
Why our GPS took us that route, because going home it took us like completely normal road that took like the 2 hours and 40 minutes. But that was like, I feel like you can't describe it of how it was like really scary. And I don't know why we were on that route, but that was terrifying and probably very memorable.
I was gonna say that is certainly a most memorable travel story. They don't always have to be happy.
No, but it's one of those things of like, you're like, oh, cool, bumpy road. Like you can't describe it. The car was literally like for like 2 hours.
Okay, first of all, that's terrifying because I'm that person also that can like only ever follow their GPS. And if I got stuck like on a gravel pothole road on the way to the middle of nowhere, I'd be like terrified. Because I feel like in the United States they have that too, but a lot of foreign countries, or at least ones that I've been to, like South America wise, like especially Guatemala and Mexico, you have to be so careful with GPS and like where you're headed and if it's not a traveled road, because then if you like break down, there's nobody. Like nobody to help you, nobody to save you, and you could get put in dangerous situation if it's like a road that, tourists are kidnapped on or they, are robbed and things like that. But at least you guys had that military checkpoint. And second of all, just like a gravelly road with that many bumps, that would just suck. Do either of you guys get car sick?
Zeke does if he's not driving.
If I'm not driving, I'm a terrible passenger.
But he was driving, so it's okay, and I don't get car sick. But I was like freaking out because our cats were freaking out for like 2 hours. It wasn't just like 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And I don't know if you want to tell this, so you can ex-name me. Speaking of your cats, it just made me think of this. But how was your experience coming back to America?
I don't even know how to tell this story in a short. So long story short, we brought our cats to the DR. We're also big cat people. We rescued a couple cats and like flew them back to the US, like on vacations with us to give to family and things. So just a preface of like we've flown with cats to and from the DR and like we know what we're doing. Basically, all you need to do is you need an international health certificate if you're flying internationally with your pets. And it's basically a note from the doctor that's like, hey, they have all their vaccines, they're healthy. And we flew to the DR on Frontier with our cats, and so we booked Frontier to fly home from the DR with our cats. We chose them, one, they're a budget airline, but two, their like pet policies are super clear on their website. Like if you go to their website today, it says like dogs and cats are welcome to and from the Dominican Republic, to and from the US. Like it's super clear. And so we booked them. We had all our paperwork, and we're coming home from 2.5 years in the DR. We have like 6 luggages, we have 3 carry-ons, we have 3 backpacks, we have 3 cats and us and Zeke's mom, and we like show up to the Frontier check-in counter, and he looks at our cats and he's like, I don't know, I don't even know, like you can't bring the cats, or you can't travel with the cats or something. And we're like, yeah, we can, like you're wrong. And this was August 10th, and he goes, no, we changed our pet policy on August 1st. And we're like,
what?
yeah, like because when you travel with pets, you have to call and add them to your ticket. So like back in April, we called and we said, hey, we're bringing the cats. You pay $125 per pet. And like on my ticket, it says like Cassidy Marquez. And then it says a little dash. It says pet in cabin. Like they know these pets are coming. And so they had this policy change, and I could get into all the details, but long story short, they didn't notify us. The guy at the counter like did try to fight for us for a bit with management to let us on. But all in all, they ended up denying us our ticket, our entry. They did give us our money back, but to get home, we had to book a ticket with JetBlue that had an overnight layover in Puerto Rico and flew into the wrong airport and cost us double the amount of money as our Frontier ticket. So like they gave us the money back, but we still ultimately had to spend double. We got home and we like tried to fight with them, like call and email, and eventually they're like, this is the last contact you'll be hearing from us. Like we're not doing anything. So we are anti-frontierers now. I don't care about what kind of deal I'm getting, that I will not fly them, because I just think it was really inappropriate. Like it was their mistake not to let us know, and then it cost us.
Yeah, Frontier, if you're listening, or if anybody who works for Frontier is listening, that's a D recommendation. I repeat, D recommendation, and advice for our travel brats when they think about flying Frontier, especially with pets.
Yeah, I hope they do. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, no, it's good to know, because
I feel like we have a very solid case for a lawsuit, but it's just like everyone knows the lawyers are expensive and a lot of time, and so we're not even going to be in the country to file a lawsuit. But it was really inappropriate on their end.
when you never know how important someone's trip is. Like you guys are literally moving back to America.
And that's like, if you think about how much all these tickets were and the pets and luggages, like, and we're just sitting in the airport, I was crying with all of my possessions that I own. Like,
Frontier be like, did you check your email notifications? We don't do that anymore. Like, no, I was packing up my life and getting ready to go. So yes, guys, Travel Brats, it's a good lesson to constantly be checking the rules and regulations of the airlines too. I still think that's pretty naughty of them, but they're like always changing the rules.
it's still not posted on their website today, though. That's like the ridiculous thing. If you go on today, it still says all pets are welcome.
Okay, well now that's just Frontier being Frontier. I don't know what to tell anyone about Frontier.
Yes, definitely check the rules and regulations of your airline, but if you're flying Frontier, they will not be upfront about them.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, thanks for sharing. It's a good lesson. It's a good lesson because, people need to know. People need to know what's going on with Frontier.
Very unhappy still to this day.
Well, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm glad you made it back. To close a little bit on just the topic of the DR, for the travel brats who are thinking about vacationing and visiting DR, why would they want to go to this place, or why should they want to go to this place? If you guys could give sort of a quick elevator pitch on why travel to DR on my honeymoon or on my next summer vacation.
Yeah, the Dominican Republic is rich rich in everything, rich in culture, rich in history, rich in things to do. Whether you're a resort person who likes to stay on a resort and have, being at every need catered to, or whether you're adventurous outdoor person, there's a lot of things to do. Or whether you like the city life, the nightlife, there's everything for everyone. And it can be as cheap as you want it to be, or it can be as expensive as you want it to be. There's a lot of options. And so I definitely recommend going to the Dominican Republic and experiencing what the island has to offer.
Wonderful. And it's not that quick of a flight, or it's not that far of a flight away,
Not at all. It's very close.
especially from where we were in Florida.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very close to Florida.
Yeah. And guys, to close, I want to talk a little bit about what's next for you two. So I know you can't tell us exactly where, but generally, where are you guys headed in 2025?
So we are going to Mexico. We are headed to a small town about 25 minutes south of Guadalajara, Mexico. So we will be heading there in January.
Very cool. And tell us a little bit more about kind of what your mission is there.
So we are going in the town that I'm talking about. It is a impoverished town. And so we are going to be working there and living there. And our goal is to develop a community center that is planted inside a local church. And the goal is kind of twofold. One, the goal is to teach some life skills, whether it would be like trade skills or artisanal skills or business classes, finance classes for these community members to help get themselves out of that cycle of poverty. The other objective is ultimately to share the love and hope that we have in Jesus Christ with these people. So we would love to help them physically. We'd love to also help them spiritually. So that's like our very quick summary of what we are going there to do.
Well, that's awesome, you guys. That's super inspiring. And I just love that you're going to go do that. And it'll be exciting, a new adventure, a new country. I know Zeke's got some, Spanish speaking talent, so he'll be able to help navigate. And Cassie, I know you're learning, and it'll just be a great way to immerse yourself in the culture and to connect with people and to share the gospel. So, guys, that's amazing. Now, how can our travel brats help you or get in touch with you so that they can ask questions, help you guys with funding, pray for you guys, all the above, any or all the above?
Yeah. I'd say the best way to probably get in touch with me would be via my Instagram. My Instagram is _ and then first and last name, Cassidy Marquez, Marquez. So if you have any questions about the Dominican Republic, about travel, about missions, we're obviously really passionate about it. We are currently fundraising. We're almost there. We're like 90% funded. Yes, praise God. But we're still looking for monthly support and one-time support. So if that's something that's tugging on your heart of like, I would love to support this couple or this mission, just reach out. And yeah, like I said, we would love to give you more information, whether it would be about missions, about money, about prayer, about DR, or hopefully in the future we can give you a little bit of insight into traveling to Mexico, but that's not our expertise yet.
Yeah, Mexico. Well, that's great, you guys. Travel Brats, for more information too about the Christian Missionary Alliance, you can visit their website, and you guys again can get in touch with Cassidy and Zeek at any and all times through social media. Guys, again, thank you so much for joining me today. That was so much fun, and I cannot wait to visit you guys in Mexico and tell you guys when the Travel Brats hit DR.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that'd be so fun. We'd love some follow-up and to hear about if anyone goes and what their experience was. And
yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much. Have a good one.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, it's your travel brat Nat. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Did you know that we create blogs to go along with all of our episodes? You can check them out at thetravelbrats.com.